So originally this video was going to be a deep dive on which signal caller was better for the San Francisco 49ers, between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. But San Fran GM John Lynch has jumped ahead of me on this one and straight up said that Brock Purdy is the starter. Well, kind of. With what he just said, it's about 85% odds that Brock Purdy will be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers in 2023. Lynch had this to say at the NFL annual owners meeting in Phoenix: "I think Brock has earned the right with the way he's played, that he's probably the leader in the clubhouse at that. If we were to line up in spring, I think he'd be probably taking the first snap." So now with what John Lynch has said, let's take a look at why Purdy has won the job over Trey Lance, and take a look at why Purdy got the edge and the start over Lance so far for the 49ers. With that all being said though, let's get straight into it. The thing about Trey Lance's career so far, going back to college and even high school, is that Trey Lance has not played a lot of games. So we have to take a really far look and push the camera a little bit back to get that wider shot on Trey Lance's career so far. Lance grew up in Marshall, Minnesota and attended Marshall High School and was used the best quarterback prospect in Minnesota when he attended high school. According to Max Preps, Lance threw for over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in his total high school career. Lance committed to North Dakota State after high school, redshirted his freshman year, and became the starter in 2019. Lance led the Bisons to the 2020 NCAA championship game, named the MVP in a Bisons victory. Lance finished the 2019 season with video game-like numbers, throwing for over 2,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Also rushed for over 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. In 2020, Lance only played 1 game, and due to COVID, the season was all messed up. So after playing 1 game, Lance declared for the 2021 NFL Draft. And for a lot of us NFL fans, we all know the story from here. He was drafted 3rd overall by the San Francisco 49ers after they sent both 2022 and 2023 first-round picks and the 2022 3rd. Lance played in 6 games his rookie year and threw for over 600 yards, 5 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, but spent majority of that season sitting behind Jimmy G and learning the offense. In 2022 though, times were changing in the Bay, as Jimmy Garoppolo was no longer going to be the starter, as he was set to either be traded before he hit free agency the next year, meaning Lance was given the keys to the kingdom and was named the starter for 2022. Now there was a lot of hype around Trey Lance because we hadn't really seen a lot of him in his rookie year, and with his mind-boggling video game-like numbers in 2019, there was a lot of hype that this guy could be the next Patrick Mahomes and had that ability. But that did not last long. In a season as the starter, Lance only played 2 games. Lance suffered a season-ending ankle injury in week 2 against the Seahawks and was out for the rest of the season. He had 2 surgeries, one to fix his broken ankle and the second to remove shrapnel that was irritating him in his ankle. So when we take a wider look at Trey Lance's career, the real issue is that he has not played a lot of games. Since college, Lance has only played 27 games, which is not a lot of football. And in the span of 2 years, the 49ers still have no idea what they have in Trey Lance. They had a little bit of an idea of what they had before, but they didn't know how that would translate over to the NFL and the level of play. Now, after the ankle injury, we have no idea how that will affect his mobility and the way he plays. Coming off an ankle injury as a mobile quarterback is really hard to kind of assess how they would play after. And given that they gave up 2 first-round picks for this guy, I'm sure they want to know what they have, but it's really hard when you have someone like Brock Purdy sitting in the shadows. So now that we looked about everything about Trey Lance and his career as a whole, let's look at Purdy's career so far. Purdy played a lot of games at Iowa State. He was named the starter in 2019 in his sophomore year, which was his best year in college, where he threw for over 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. In Purdy's 4 years as a starter for Iowa State, he played 48 games, threw for over 12,000 yards, 81 touchdowns to 33 interceptions with 19 rushing touchdowns. Now we all know Brock Purdy's story of being drafted in the NFL. He was the last pick of the 2022 NFL Draft and was dubbed Mr. Irrelevant. And many people did not know who Brock Purdy was. He was the 3rd-string quarterback for majority of the season, and when Trey Lance got hurt, Jimmy Garoppolo took over, and then Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in week 13 against the Dolphins, breaking his foot. Frankly, it was a script written in Hollywood. It was almost like Linsanity in the NBA. Purdy came in against the Dolphins, and the rest was history.
4-man rush. Purdy loaded up, going deep. He's got a man. Ayuk in. Touchdown 49ers. Are you kidding? Purdy. Great protection and wide open is Kittle. Roaming free. Diggs can't take him down. Nobody else can, and it's a touchdown. 54 yards.
Purdy played in 5 games in 2022 where he threw for over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. With his postseason stats being he threw for over 569 yards, 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Now, this fairy tale story seemingly all came to an end when he was injured in the NFC Championship against the Eagles, where he suffered a UCL injury in his elbow. So that begs the question, why have the Niners gone with Purdy over Lance? Well, for one, the offense played better under Purdy. Forget the scheming, forget the stats, the offense looked totally different under Brock Purdy. Look, I watched a lot of Niners game when Purdy came into the fold, and he just looked like he was oozing with confidence. The thing about the 49ers offense is that they had been stuck in first gear for a while, really since Jimmy G took over as the starter. They were playing good, but there was a sort of second gear that we all knew they could hit. And really, it was the whole reason Trey Lance took over. They wanted to get into second gear. Lance didn't have enough time to really put them into second gear, but under Purdy, they just kind of all clicked into second gears. Deebo Samuel looked better, Brandon Ayuk looked better, George Kittle looked phenomenal, and Christian McCaffrey looked like a top 5 running back in the NFL, which he is. Look, Purdy isn't the most dynamic quarterback. He's not Lamar Jackson, he's not a Josh Allen, he's not a Patrick Mahomes. And I hate the word game manager because I feel like you could call Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert a game manager. To me, Purdy came off as playing with this confidence game by game, and it felt like he was the equivalent to Joe Burrow. Just oozing with confidence, cool in the pocket, and was able to throw absolute dimes and dots. And that spread across the team. I don't know if you saw some of the postseason interviews with the 49ers when Brock Purdy was the quarterback, but you can't tell me it was a different vibe in that locker room. It's almost like, yes, we finally have this quarterback that can step us up and take us to the next level. And it really felt like that on both sides of the ball with Fred Warner's interview, George Kittle's interview. Just interview anybody and go look them up. They looked like they were oozing with confidence, and they looked like they were ready to go out and win a Super Bowl. The real issue is, like I've mentioned before, the 49ers don't know what they have in Lance, and I don't know if they can go around and sitting and waiting to know what they have in Lance. They know how Purdy has played, and yes, he played 5 games, 3 more including the postseason. But you can't tell me it's not easy for a rookie to just learn an offense over the span of a season, step into an environment and level that he hasn't played yet, being the NFL, and go up against top-tier talent against the defense. And will hold up a fan base who has been waiting and looking for a Super Bowl championship for the last 5 years. Look, I'm all about giving offensive players credit. I love giving George Kittle credit, I love giving Deebo Samuel credit, I love giving Brandon Ayuk credit, the offensive line credit, and Christian McCaffrey credit. But I think you gotta give Brock Purdy some credit too. The kid stepped up in a almost impossible situation. I know a lot of people have been saying, well, he had Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, a great offensive line, a great defense to carry it. All 100% true. But to me, the issue is who was throwing the ball? Who was placing the ball? Yes, Kyle Shanahan is a top 5 coach in the NFL, and he's a great schemer, and his coaching staff are geniuses. But he played to Brock Purdy's strength, and Brock Purdy blew up out of it. The kid went from Mr. Relevant to Mr. Relevant, and you got to give him some credit on that too. He was the one placing the ball, throwing the ball, doing pass protection, audibling stuff, you name it, he did it. And that's, I think, why John Lynch and company have so much confidence in him. I mean, he played like he had been playing in the NFL for 10 plus years. Look, Lance has got the short end of the stick here. It is incredibly unlucky. He went into a scenario where he was sitting by Jimmy Garoppolo for a year, which he anticipated he was going to be the starter in 2022. Now he is going to be the backup or traded. But look, if San Francisco decides to hold on to Trey Lance, he still has an incredibly young career. Both Purdy and Lance are 22 and 23 combined. They have tons of time in the NFL. Frankly, there is still an extremely long offseason. Purdy is coming off a major injury. Lance is coming off a major injury. But Lance has been recovering for a long time. As of right now, Purdy's injury could leave him out for 6 more months or 8 more months before he can do anything on the field. And we still have not heard anything from Kyle Shanahan as of recording this. Look, Trey Lance was a very good prospect, but what worries me is that he hasn't played games and his injury history so far. I think his trade value is absolutely shot, and I don't know if the 49ers will move him or will decide to move him yet. But if Lance is named the starter again during the offseason, then it makes sense why. But if he starts playing like shit, then they have Brock Purdy to go back as a backup plan. But for right now, as of recording this, Brock Purdy has been named the starter, sort of. There are a lot of trade rumors currently swirling Trey Lance. I've heard a lot of people say he could go to the Vikings to back up Kirk Cousins and be the replacement. But we will see this offseason or the next offseason or during the season what happens with Trey Lance. But as of right now, Brock Purdy is the starter. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about that. Do you think Brock Purdy deserves to be the starter? Do you think Trey Lance deserves to be the starter? Let me know what you guys think of both quarterbacks. And with that all being said though, I've been Josh from S.H.T Sports. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. And don't forget to subscribe and hit notifications to make sure you are notified when we upload every single week. With that all being said though, I've been Josh from S.H.T Sports. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.